Now, I can't start this video out by saying that I thought this day would never come, but I can and will start it out by saying I didn't think it would come this soon. I didn't think the Galactic Starcruiser Resort experience, as Disney calls it, would only last for a little over a year before an announcement was made that it was being shut down permanently. That its final stationary voyage would be in September of this year after taking its first one in only March of last year. And despite it being something that apparently we've learned in some of the new canon, that has been going strong for hundreds of years in-universe. Gotta love the irony there. And for those out there who don't know exactly what I'm talking about or what this is, the Star Wars Galactic Starcruiser was, or still is for now, a resort at Disney World in Florida that essentially mimicked a luxury 2-day cruise in the Star Wars galaxy, complete with all sorts of little activities you could do aboard the windowless ship, that instead had screens that showed you the galaxy beyond. And it was set in the sequel trilogy era, even featuring characters from it like Kylo Ren and Rey, and allowing you to do, again, little adventures or missions for one side or the other to either help the First Order or Resistance try to accomplish, stuff. And there'd be actors you could interact with and performances carried out to move the story's plot along before it culminated in some big event featuring the only encounter between Rey and Kylo Ren not seen in a film on the final day. It also included an excursion to Galaxy's Edge on one of those 2 days, which almost seems a bit odd when you really think about it. I mean, I know it's trying to, again, mimic a cruise, which, yes, is going to stop places and let you get off the ship and enjoy certain ports of interest. But when you consider this 2-day experience cost roughly $4,000 for 2 people, or $6,000 for a family of 4, and mind you, those are only the starting prices. There are better, more expensive rooms available, like the Leia and Han honeymoon suite, and yes, there's a new canon book about that. Well, you'd really think you'd want to see and do as much as possible on the ship for that kind of money, and check out Galaxy's Edge some other time, because it's like right over there. It's like literally right next to the resort, basically within walking distance. It's not like the cruise actually took you far, far away to a spaceport. Anyway, from what I've read and yes, heard from people that I've talked to who have actually done this, I have spoken to real people about their experience on the Galactic Starcruiser. There is actually quite a bit to do on the ship, and it is fun. So much so that you can, or do, inevitably feel like you can't do it all and like you're missing stuff. Especially if you're not being a bit proactive, shall we say, if you're not out there looking to participate. In other words, this is not the type of vacation you'll want to take if your idea of a good time or enjoyable vacation is spending large amount of time poolside in a blissful drunken haze, and not just because, well, there is no pool on the Starcruiser, and that alcohol, no surprise, isn't included in that hefty price tag, but you will indeed miss things because this is very much, or was, an interactive, time-sensitive experience that you will get out of it what you put into it, I heard one person say. And though I'll admit that my idea of a fun vacation does not include any type of real concrete itinerary, but rather includes a lot of time poolside or just moving at my own leisurely pace to wherever I feel like going in that particular moment, which may be nowhere at all, meaning this really wasn't something that personally appealed to me all too much. Yes, I was interested in perhaps checking it out someday if the stars aligned, but it wasn't something I was going to go out of my way to see. Nevertheless, there has just always been something or some things about this place that have rubbed me the wrong way, that have felt off, you could say. And look, there are people in this world with a lot of money who can afford things some of us never will, and can do them without thinking twice about it, like taking the Galactic Starcruiser, which is fine. I don't begrudge them that. I'm not saying that Star Wars can't or shouldn't have anything premium for those with the disposable income to sacrifice on it. But, again, despite it not being my personal cup of tea, I know there are some people out there who probably would, and maybe did, give anything and everything to experience the Galactic Starcruiser, who really couldn't afford it. I just couldn't resist doing what was billed as the ultimate Star Wars experience, despite the ultimate price tag. And though I have absolutely no ill will towards anyone who went and loved it, I'm glad you had a great time, and I truly do hope you feel like you got your money's worth, that you didn't put yourself into massive credit card debt that you have no way of getting out of, or that you maybe sacrificed a part of a down payment on a house or your kid's college fund, or put off buying a much-needed new car for those 2 days on a cruise that went nowhere. But, some people did. And yeah, don't get me wrong, this is mainly their own fault. To be blunt, people do dumb shit with money all the time or buy things they really shouldn't just because they want them. And you gotta live with those consequences of those stupid choices. It's not complete sympathy that I feel for anyone who went that really couldn't afford it and is now suffering because of it. Yet at the same time, the Star Wars fan in me who knows how passionate or obsessive some fans can be, who knows that some fans likely saw this as something they absolutely had to do no matter the cost because it was sold again as that ultimate experience. For that, I do put some blame on Disney for making this, knowing it was a trap that some fans just would not be able to resist walking headfirst into. That they had to make again this ultimate Star Wars experience something that was priced out of the reach of the vast, vast majority of their fan base. And so even though I feel bad for those who, without question, put a whole lot of time, love, and effort into designing this place, as well as the cast members who brought it to life and likely loved their jobs, they loved that they got to play Star Wars for a living, and the people I've talked to who have gone and done this did nothing but sing the praises of those cast members and credited them for bringing the experience to life. But I'd be lying if I said I wasn't kind of happy that this failed because it hopefully begins to, or continues to, teach Disney a lesson about Star Wars fans, or most Star Wars fans, which is that the franchise is not just this guaranteed massive printing press. It's not something that all fans will spend a crazy amount of money on just because you call it Star Wars or slap the logo on it. And for me, not only was this, again, not something that in general appeals to me as a vacation idea, not to mention, yeah, it's just too damn expensive, but this place did not scream Star Wars to me. No pun intended, but you completely missed the boat here, Disney. A luxury cruise set in the sequel trilogy era where I get taken to Batuu of all places, and only Batuu, aka Galaxy's Edge, does not feel like Star Wars to me. To me, Star Wars is something more gritty, something more oddly, or ironically enough, kind of down-to-earth and real feeling. I'd rather spend a few nights on, say, Kashyyyk, sleeping in something on the outside that looked like some sort of Wookiee-built tree hut and inside had all the amenities, and then also had a large open area, including a pool, where I could walk around and do fun activities at my own pace or my own leisure outside on a foreign planet, rather than be trapped in a windowless ship to nowhere. Oh, and I could stay as many days as I wanted, not be locked into only 2 days or 2 nights. But I digress, and honestly, I would just love to know what Disney's thinking and reasoning was here, how they thought this was going to go and play out long term, who they thought their customer base was actually going to be. Did they think there was that many Star Wars fans who were wealthy enough to keep coming to this place over and over again and keep it afloat? Or did they think a lot of wealthy non-Star Wars fans would want to experience this place just because then that would keep it booked indefinitely? I mean, it's hard to separate out my lifelong love of Star Wars and be completely objective, but if I were rich and didn't care about Star Wars, how and why would I ever go to this place? How does being locked away on a space cruise ship where everyone around me is playing pretend Star Wars 24/7, how does that appeal to me more than pretty much any other vacation destination on Earth? Or maybe Disney really did expect that many average, everyday, hard-working Star Wars fans to just find a way to afford this, or go anyway even though they couldn't afford it. Which is what I think they were expecting and kind of banking on. That they thought there was this large number of Star Wars fans out there who could see this as a once-in-a-lifetime experience and find a way to go, and that these fans would just keep coming, that there were that many of them out there who would find a way to go despite the cost. But turns out whoever they thought was going to show up and or keep showing up isn't, and this thing is shutting down with apparently no plans to do anything else with it, which sounds like a huge, huge L for Disney all around. Though according to their rather humorous press release, which I'll put on your screen now and by all means pause and read it, this was just kind of a trial thing that they're going to learn from going forward, not something they expected to generate big revenue for years and years to come. I mean, you always sink this kind of money into experiments, right? But anyway, in closing here, I don't think this is a surprise to many, or a surprise to many of us common sense fans who love or hate this idea, or want to go or not want to go. We're just never going to be able to fork over that kind of money, unless it was literally taking us up into space to another planet. And even then, it's just realistically beyond the reach of many fans unless they make it a truly once-in-a-lifetime trip that they save years for, or just put themselves into debt for, or make other financial sacrifices for. And I can't help but feel like, from the very beginning, this showed either a lack of understanding from Disney when it comes to who their fans are or who Star Wars fans are, or just a lack of care when it comes to what those fans could afford. Either way, I can't say I'm all that sad to see it go. I'm only sad for the cast members who will lose their jobs, or the creators who put so much time and effort into something that should have never been built in the first place. Well, that's all I got for you this time. Now it's your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about all this. Did you have interest in going or not? Or maybe you did go, and if you did, tell me what you thought. Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.